What's up, guys? Please sit down. All right. A couple of things I need to correct. I am not 30. I had my 22nd wedding anniversary this past Saturday. So officially, thank you, one person. Officially, I've been married longer than I've been unmarried. This happened this past Saturday. So 22 years married, got married when I was 21. So that was kind of exciting. I'm glad to be here with you guys today. I love sharing, and my favorite group to share to are young people, especially young people that are focused on the things y'all are focused on. And it's going to become obvious as I get into my story and the things I have for you guys today, exactly why. Okay, a couple of thoughts I want to jump into. Do I have a clicker, by the way, or do I just say, what's up, clicker? Okay, awesome. Okay, I always like to show a picture of my family, and so this is my family. We took this a few months ago. So this is our family of 5. We have 3 kids in high school, freshman, sophomore, junior. Freshman is my daughter Harley there on the right. The sophomore is Lawson. We call him Law Dog. He's over there on the left. And then Jax, who's in the room. He's our junior. And then my wife Kimberly there beside me. So quick story. I always like to tell stories. That's kind of my jam. It was Christmas time. My son Lawson, turned 16 on 12/12, December 12th. And when your kids turn 16, I just want to let you guys know this. First of all, every time one kid turns 16, my life gets 12% better because they can drive. I don't know why 12%, just the number I landed on. And so Lawson turned 16 on the 12th of December. 10 days later, we're having a Christmas party at our house. We're doing karaoke. Ashley was there. She helped us sing a few songs. We're having the best time, and we get a call from Lawson, who just turned 16, 10 days earlier. Now, have you heard the statement, you had one job? Yes. Okay. We had told Lawson earlier that day, you have one job. One job. You need to go pick up your sister, Harley, at 9:30 at her friend's house. He's like, Dad, I got it. I'm like, great, because I'm going to be here. We're having a Christmas party. He's like, I'm on it. So 9:20 comes around. He gets in his car. He goes to the neighborhood. We told him there's a gate. Now, this is where Lawson gets in trouble. If you give him more than like 2 or 3 things, his brain explodes. He's the kid that you're like, okay, now go put on your right shoe. You know what I mean? And so Lawson leaves. He heads over, and so he's at the gate. He's getting frustrated because the gate's not working. So he thinks to himself, 10 days into driving, he thinks, you know what I can do? I have the timing when somebody comes out the exit. I can go in the exit and I can time this because I've been driving for 10 days. So here's what happened. This is the truck. That's what happened. Nice. Apparently, to me, this makes me think he tried to break out of a prison. I don't know, like how do these gates work? And so anyway, here's our new picture of our family. 4 of us. Just the 4 of us now. So Lawson probably won't make it to any university, much less this one. So we'll see. You know what's funny is I call it Lawson Gate. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. It's Lawson Gate. I'm excited to be here. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what I do professionally, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about a book I read and how that's kind of impacted me the last few years. Is that fair? Yes. Okay, let's dive in. So one of the companies I've had the pleasure of helping with is a company called Square Cow Movers. We started in 2008. How many know 2008 was the best year to start a small business? Oh, yeah. How about one tied to housing, right? So we moved to Austin, Texas, because my sister Ashley in the back of the room, her husband had just finished at seminary. They were coming here to plant a church, and we were going to come help them with one of the Celebration competitors on the other side of town. And we're going to start this business. And so we started Square Cow. So I'll give you more information about the start in a little bit. But here, where are we at today? So we're in Austin, Houston, Dallas, Denver, San Antonio. Those are all corporately owned. And we've sold a couple of franchises the last couple of years in Atlanta and Nashville. So we're in multiple states. We will balloon up in the middle of the summer to about 300, 350 employees. We'll kind of pare back down in the winter. Kind of gives you guys an idea of kind of what we're doing. So within those markets, we have multiple locations. So we have 2 in Austin, we got 2 in Houston, 2 in Dallas, and so multiple markets, multiple managers, and all that started with 3 family members, myself, my brother-in-law, and my dad, in 2 trucks in 2008. Another company that I helped start is a company called Carpet Now. Any guesses on what we do? We sell carpet. Okay, so a friend of mine who I was really close with, another entrepreneur, came to me about 5 or 6 years ago. He said, hey, I've been in flooring for about 10 years, which I knew. He said, I really want to start this new business called Carpet Now. You know, when people go to Home Depot to order carpet or they call a company, typically they're 6 weeks out. And he goes, I want to start a company that we only carry about 4 different types of carpet in about 11 different colors, but we can have it in within about 2 days. And I was like, okay, but why do you need that? He said, if I had a quarter for every time I'd gotten a call from a realtor and they said, hey, I need to put this house in the market, but I can't until this carpet gets replaced because of pets or kids. And so all we're going to do is we're going to market to realtors. We're going to go to realtors and we're going to say, we will have the carpet in this house that you're trying to sell by the end of the week. So that started about 5 years ago. Now we're in Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio, soon to be Houston. Let me just say about these first 2. This is your first little nugget. Money is in the mundane. Money is in the mundane. There is nothing at all sexy about moving furniture or carpet. But money is in the mundane. The sexiest business that I'm part owner in is this next one, and it's called Lumentum Creative. Logos, websites, messaging, cool graphics. Really hard to make money. I'm just telling you, we've been at it about 5 years, and it's not for a lack of effort. We've worked really hard with this business, and we've referred this business a lot, and they do really, really good work. It's really hard, and it's really crowded, and it's really hard to differentiate yourself. This business, honestly, as hard as this will probably be sunsetting in the next little bit because we just cannot seem to get the gears to grind to grow. And it's also mostly a contract business, which means that they're contracting people out instead of taking on employees. I have some issues with that, my style. Anyway, I have business partners that run that. We're going to see where that goes. The last one is Home Care, which is, I hate this name. Do not write that name down. I'm rebranding. Home Care is it's a handyman business to high-end luxury homes. And I connected with a guy named David Dalglish who builds 10, 20, 30,000 square foot houses. I'm not kidding. And so Square Cow, I'm trying to move the 1-bedroom apartment. I'm trying to move the $5 million house. I'll put carpet in this room tomorrow if you want it. We'll put it in a small studio apartment. We'll put it in a $10 million house. This is a different business. I'm going for a very small sliver of people that can afford to hire a handyman service where, similar to a pool business, if you have a pool business, your best pool guy you never see him, but your pool's always blue. It's never green, but you never see him. That's the best. You don't want to see him. That's our handyman business, where we go in, we have keys to their house, we know their housekeeper, we know their dog, we know how to get through the security, we fix the drywall with the leaky faucet, the door, and they never saw that we were there, and they spend a lot of money for it, but we're trying to go after a very small sliver of the population. These are 4 of the 5 businesses I'm in. The 5th doesn't really matter. But here's the deal. I found my niche in home care services, right? Moving, carpet, and handyman services. That's my lane. I'm going to talk to you guys about that in a minute. That is my lane. That's where I feel comfortable. Okay. So here's what I want to talk about. There's this saying, living forward and understanding backwards. Another way of saying it's hindsight's 20/20. So I've been in this reflective mode at the age of 43 recently, where I've been put in this position where, okay, I have 5 businesses, I'm on 4 boards, my kids are in high school, they're about to move off to college, Lord willing, and I'm in a position to be reflective, right? This is where you get to this place of being reflective. So we live forward, but we understand backwards. And so a couple of years ago, I was thinking about exiting Square Cow, which is where I spent all of my time. I did end up exiting, even though I own part of that business, I'm not there every day. And I was going through this really tough decision-making process. And my pastor gives me a book, and I think I have the book up here. It's called Halftime. And so I read the flap, and I'm like, oh, this is for people with midlife crises. My pastor's like, and I need you to read that. Call me when you're on chapter 4. Okay, so Bob Buford writes this book called Halftime. Y'all don't need to read this book right now. Wait 30, 40 years, but get to it. I'm going to give you the main premise today, okay? Buford says there's 3 phases to your life or your career. There's 3 phases. And those are the 3 phases I want to talk to you guys about today. The 3 phases of your career. And I believe these are true. This is what I've been reflecting on, and I think this is actually very accurate. The first phase is survival. The first phase of your career. And if you skip this, I don't understand how you skipped it. I don't know anybody that skips this. The first phase is survival. Okay, let's dive into survival. All right, here's the first thing. It's ridiculously hard. It's ridiculously hard. My first business, I started in Birmingham, Alabama. It failed at the end of the first year. And then I went into full-time ministry, and I got fired 2 years later. You know there's fired, like, hey, we're cutting back. Like, I'm so sorry. No, this was like, you need to get out of here. You're bad at this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was rough. And turns out I was really bad at it. You know, again, I'm reflecting backwards now. I was really bad at it. So that really wasn't my jam. And so then we started a business here in Austin, moving in 2008. Not a lot of entrepreneurial intuition, starting a business tied to housing in 2008 during the worst housing crisis this country's ever seen. Failure, failure, failure. Then we start a business that we think can work. And here's the deal, we didn't have plan B. There was no plan B. This was the plan. We would get done with moves at 11 o'clock at night in Houston. We would drive back to Austin. We'd get in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. We'd get back up the next day at 6 a.m. and we'd do it all over again. And we did it over and over. And it wasn't a hard weekend. It wasn't a rough summer. It was years. It was years of difficulty. It was so hard. My business partner, Derek's my brother-in-law. There's not a human that sweats more than this guy on the planet, okay? This is the guy that I did moves with all day. So we would be there for an hour. I would have like a little ring around my neck of sweat. Derek looked like somebody took him by the feet and dipped him in a pool. 1 hour. And the client would be like, well, it looks like he's doing all the work. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have a medical condition. You know what I mean? But this is what we did. We worked till our hands bled. Derek, because he sweats so much, he would start seizing up. His muscles would start seizing up because he's totally dehydrated. So it'd be 10 o'clock at night. He would turn into the Tin Man and literally fall over. And then I would have to go to the client and I'd be like, I know you paid us to do this, but can you help me finish your move? And I would ask the client to help me finish his move because Derek's on his side over there. Every day, y'all, all the time. Now, we made it to our kids' birthday parties and stuff, but I was the dad that looked like he had given up on life. You know what I mean? Every day. And when we weren't moving furniture, I'd leave in the middle of a move. I would take off my moving shirt. I'd put on a polo shirt, and I'd go to a networking event, and I'd try to get in front of people like Patty, and I would say, here's my card, and here's my Josh, and here's my Connor. Hey, if you need a move, if you know somebody you need to move. And so when we weren't moving furniture, we were begging people to allow us to move furniture. Guys, the first part of survival is hard. Next part, you can't do it alone. You cannot do it alone. There is actually, hold on, let me back up. Go back to ridiculously hard. There is something you need to know about this. I want to make sure you understand, because if you ever start a business, there is a truth behind being an entrepreneur that you say to yourself, I don't have a boss. Everybody loves that, don't they? Mm-hmm. I don't have a boss. Let me tell you about being an entrepreneur, especially at the beginning. There is no one above you, and there's no job beneath you. I can tell you right now, you're taking the trash out. You're mopping the floor. You're the last one home. You're the first one there. If you start an organization of any kind, you're signing up for the hardest job. There is nobody above you. There's no job beneath you. Okay. I need to move fast, but I'm going to say this other thing too. We moved a chiropractor our first year, and I asked him about how to lift things. I'm like, how do I prevent being in your office? You know what I mean? I don't want to come see you ever. And he goes, chin up, chest up. As long as if you get down and you pick up and your chin is up and your chest is up, your back's in the right position when you lift things. This became a mantra. Jax is up back in the back being like, oh my gosh. Like, because I've been saying this their whole life. It's ridiculously hard, chin up, chest up. Hey, Dad, I've got this test coming up. Chin up, chest up. We've been saying this that first 5 years. Hey, we got a 3-trucker tomorrow, and we don't have enough guys for it. Hey, chin up, chest up. Let's go. There's something about building kind of a mantra around the fact that, hey, we know this is hard. This is ridiculously hard, and we're embracing it. And we're embracing it. Okay, I'm moving forward. You can't go alone. I would go to the kids' school when they were in elementary school, and because I was an entrepreneur, a lot of the parents would be asked for like career day. Yes, career day. And I got asked because I'm an entrepreneur, and I would go to my friend who's an eye doctor because he has a lab coat, and I'd be like, "Can I borrow your lab coat?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, so I take the lab coat with me, and I get in front of a group like this, but younger, and I'd put on the lab coat, and I would say this about being an entrepreneur. I would say, "Do surgeons make a lot of money?" And even kids know them surgeons make a lot of money. And here's what I would say next. Surgeons make a lot of money when their hands are making that money. Yep. When they're there doing an operation, that's when surgeons are making money. Hear me. I'm making money right now, guys. I am making money right now, and there is not a feeling on the planet like this. Entrepreneurs are leveraged by other people. If it's just you, even if you own the business, you do not own a business, you have a job. You have a business when you are leveraged by other people that make you money. Money's in the mundane. You can't do it alone. You have to be leveraged by other people. If you can't lead other people, if they can't shed themselves of their vision and attach their vision to your vision, you have a job. You do not have a business. You can't do it alone. You have to find other people. There's an old African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The business has to have a togetherness culture. My deepest relationships on the planet have been built with people that I've done something with business, boards, organizations. That's who I connect most with. Those are my closest friends in the world. Okay, next, we don't do great. Oh, what you tolerate, you promote. If I could get a tattoo, I'm not going to, Jax, but if I could, it would be this around, hey, if you're leading a team, you let one guy be late, you're promoting everybody can be late. Yeah. What you tolerate, you promote. What you tolerate, you promote. This is survival mode 101. Those early days, we would have a guy show up, and he's like, sorry, I'm late. And he would have like a Starbucks. I'm like, you had to stop for the Starbucks. That's why you're late. I'm going to move a little faster here because if I don't, I'm going to be in trouble. Hey, you don't do crazy. Here's what I want you guys to envision right now. You're a young family. You and your spouse are sitting there with your 3 kids. You've got a 9-year-old, you've got a 6-year-old, and you got a 1.5-year-old in the high chair. Where's all your attention? That's right, the one in the high chair. Why? Because that 1.5-year-old doesn't want to be in that high chair, does not want to eat what you just made him. They're throwing their fork, they're dropping their food, they're yelling, they're screaming, and all of your attention shifts to that baby. We do this in business and life all the time. We give all of our attention to whoever's screaming the loudest. And let me tell you something. That person doesn't care about you. They don't want to help you grow. That one client that's a problem, you need to say, I've said to more clients, hey, I think we're going to fail to meet your expectations. We're going to concede this job to a competitor. I said that to more clients than you can imagine. We're going to concede this job. I would rather have, I'm not going to trade a $5,000 job for a $10,000 headache. Now, hey guys, it's hard to get to Crazy Town for me. You have to jump through a lot of hoops. But once you go there, I don't do crazy. I will not take your phone call. You can email me. I will email you back. You want to send something from your attorney? That's fine too. I will not speak to you because I do not do crazy. You learn this in survival mode. We do not do crazy. All your attention needs to be on the people there to help you grow. The people that are eating their food, cutting it up, talking about their day. The 1-year-old does not get to be part of this scenario. But you have to make the choice, and you have to be disciplined about whether or not you're willing to cut that person off. Because you know what that person represents? Revenue. Okay? What else I got? Anything else? Okay. You got to sweat the small stuff. This is the last part of survival. Sweat the small stuff. Hey, boss, why do I got to tuck my shirt in? Because it's a small thing. Why do I got to have a clean dashboard? Because it's a small thing. I'm going to tell you guys something that's a poisonous lie in this world, and I might be the first person to tell you this. There's a lie that people say, the difference between where I'm at and where I want to go is like, well, that company, the company we want to be, they have access to technology we don't have. Or they have access to people we don't have. Bull. The difference between where you are and where you want to be are a lot of little bitty things. And a lot of little bitty things stacked up on top of each other make a big difference. How you leave your truck at night matters. How you present yourself. All my guys, they show up, their shirt tails are tucked in. Now, we know in a move, it's going to be untucked 30 seconds later. That's just the reality. But when they knock on that door and the client opens up and they introduce, hey, I'm Wade. We're glad to be here today. The subconscious feeling from that client is this. They take care of themselves, they're going to take care of me. It's a little thing. So at Square Cow and at Carpet Now and all these businesses, when somebody pushes back, and why do we have to do paperwork? Because it's a small thing, and we embrace small things. Our natural inclination is to Heisman arm small things. That doesn't matter. The small things are the differences. I'll tell you this, the difference between Chick-fil-A and Burger King is not a lot of big things, guys. It's a lot of little things. They do a lot of little things better. You got to sweat the small stuff. The next stage, success. Oh, let's go. Everybody loves this stage. We want to skip the survival. We want to move straight to success, don't we? Okay. The second stage is success. Hey, I'm telling you about this stage. It is fun. F-U-N, fun. I'm telling you, I can't wait for y'all to get there. You might already be there. I don't want to be presumptuous. Let's talk about success. First thing you got to do, you got to grow rhino skin. You got to grow rhino skin. The day after every move that we do at Square Cow Movers, the day after, the client gets an email with a link to a survey. 10 questions. Were we on time? A 1 is a cow patty, a 5 is a cowbell. All this gets tabulated. I can tell you, there's 2 types of people that leave surveys. The ones that love you and the ones that really do not love you. We do not have to send that survey, guys. We do it. The worst part of the week is reading these stupid survey results. As soon as we have a failing survey, one of our managers knows. He picks up, hey, Miss Johnson, we just saw that we failed your survey. Hey, can we talk about what happened? The information we get from these surveys are the most important information. In order to get the information, we have to grow rhino skin. We have to say the information is more important than how soft I am. This isn't fun. This isn't exciting. This is terrible. And Miss Johnson says, well, you guys left 25 boxes in my attic. And it gives us an opportunity to say, so sorry, can we send a team over today to get those? You just saved the client, future referrals, all because you grew rhino skin, saying, I'm willing to hear hard things, because the result of hearing those hard things is better than the result of not. What's the next thing? This is a painful one. This is a painful one. In 2014 and 15, we were growing, y'all. We were growing. And growing is so much fun. Oh, it was so much fun. We just started saying, growth is our strategy. Here's a big one. Growth is not a strategy. Growth is the result of a good strategy. Growth is the result of a good strategy. It's similar to loyalty. Loyalty is an outcome. It's not a trait. Y'all, when we started growing, we started focusing on just growing. And guess what happens? Our head for business and our heart for service started to really suffer. Don't get caught looking at the map. Because if you're doing the right things, if you're treating your clients right, you're developing your team the way it should be, you're looking at your bottom line the way you should be, the growth's going to take care of itself. But when you get caught looking at the map, saying, well, hey, man, we need to open in Charlotte. What about Phoenix? When that becomes your focus, when growth becomes a focus, you get in trouble in success. Be very, very, very careful not to be bitten by the snake of growth. It's intoxicating. It is the cocaine of organizations. And it will absolutely cost you the business. And it almost did us in 2018. So you'll get to success, and it'll start to taste good. And if you're not looking at the right things, your thumb isn't on the pulse of what's really going on, our KPIs. We have 4 at Square Cow that got developed because we got caught looking at the map. Now, at any given time, we know where every branch is at any given moment because we got caught looking at the map and we had to reset everything. Does that make sense? Okay, what's next? What are you selling? Y'all, so many businesses miss this. This is so important. Guess what? Nobody ever calls Carpet Now and they go, you know what? I was trying to order a pizza, but now that I know I've got this carpet company, I'm just going to go ahead and have you come replace the carpet. Nobody ever goes on to Square Cow Movers, the shape, the animal, 2 O's and movers, and was like, you know what? Wasn't trying to go here, but since now I'm here, I'm going to order a move. That's not how. They know what they need when they call. By the time they call you, they already know what. Don't try to sell them on what the transaction's already happened on the thing. So when you get on the phone with them, you know what we're trying to sell them at Square Cow? Trust. 80% of the people that make decisions in the home are women. Now the men want to know about the price. The women, the moms, the ones we're sending our crew to their living room and their master closet, they want to know they can sell them. So we teach our call center, you're selling trust. Now, obviously, you're going to talk about moving and how we do all this, but we're also saying things like, hey, I want to let you know all our guys are W-2 employees. We don't have any subs, temps, or day laborers. We know these guys. We've trained these guys. And I want to let you know, these guys, our hope is that you would want to invite them to Christmas dinner. That's the kind of terminology that we use because we're selling trust. We're not selling moving services. Do not get it wrong. Carpet Now, they need to know we can get it in fast. Hey, our goal is to get this faster than anybody else. If you talk to somebody else on the phone that can get it in faster, call me back. I want to know who that is. Know what you're selling, and the thing that you're selling is so often not the thing you're selling. Be very intentional in how you answer the phone, how you speak, the words of affirmation you use. People call other moving companies, do you guys move pianos? And we're like, yeah. They call us, we love moving pianos. We move pianos every day. If things weren't heavy and there weren't stairs, we'd be out of business. This is the kind of stuff we say. We want people to feel like we're excited to come move that piano. Because if there weren't pianos, we wouldn't be in business. This is what we do. Okay, what's next? It's a tension to manage, not a problem to solve. This is not mine. This is Andy Stanley's. For anybody that just rolled their eyes. This is so important during the success stage, guys. There are things you're never going to solve. Staffing at Square Cow is never going to get solved. We're never going to say, check that box, we're done. It will always be a top 3 issue, always, forever and ever. Accepting that is so important for us. Here's what it says. We will not solve this. It will always be a tension to manage. Here's what it means at Square Cow. If we start hiring someone when we need them, we're already behind. Because here's what we're going to do at every branch. We have a list of every employee. You might think, Wade, that's a terrible thing to do. I do not care. We have a list of everybody. If you don't need somebody at that moment, you need to be replacing those bottom 3 guys. Churn that all day long. Churn those bottom 2 or 3 guys all day long. You need to. How do you upgrade a team? Making sure the bottom piece is constantly moving. That's healthy for a business like Square Cow. I would love these guys if you move furniture for a year, you're a veteran. The physicality of this job is just that's what it takes. So thinking about that a little differently about how you staff, it's a tension to manage, not a problem to solve. Advertising is a tension to manage. It's a moving target. Connor and I were just talking about this. How you get in front of people. The website's different than the preview day. It's a tension to manage, not a problem to solve. You're never going to say advertising, donezo. No. This is a tension to manage. What's next? Growing up in Alabama, my peepaw had a truck, and my family didn't have a truck, which is weird because we got a whole fleet of trucks now. I remember one time we borrowed my peepaw's truck because we needed to move something around. I don't even know what it was. But for whatever reason, the alignment on this truck was way off. And if you took your hand off the wheel, 90 degrees right off a cliff. or into the median or whatever. Y'all are like, Wade, that's hyperbolic. If you took your hands off the wheel, y'all, you're in traffic. So here's the way I want to put this about the success stage of a business. If when you leave town, your business careens off a cliff, you have not built a business. Okay? If when you leave town, you're in the median, you have not built a business. The success stage is, hey, you know what? My wife and I just went to spend our anniversary in Cancun, and I get back, and we have made money, we have hired new people, we have continued to develop, we have improved our processes. That's a business. A business where you're leading, when you leave, it does not go into ongoing traffic. Let's talk about the third stage. I'm trying to move fast.
You're good.
Am I okay? Okay. Guys, I'm telling you right now, too many people stop at stage 2. They think this is the whole point. The whole point of my career is stage 2, success. Let me tell you right now, you can stop there and you will look like the world. Or you can do what God's called you to do, and that's pushed down to the third stage, which is significance. How do you become significant? And this is the stage that's elusive. I'm telling you, not a lot of people get to this stage. And I'm not saying that from a place of hubris. I'm not trying to say like I'm big. I'm just telling you, too many people think the goal is success. This last stage, guys, is important, and you need to hear it now. Let's talk about significance. Here we go. First, you need to give away what God's given you. Hey, you know what God gave Square Cow? Big trucks and strong backs. You know what we give away? Big trucks and strong backs. Somebody calls us in domestic violence. Hey, can we come get you? We'll come move you. My wife is on the board of a foster home here in Austin. They collect things all during the year and put them in a warehouse. And then in October, take all those items to the Palmer Event Center where they raise $1.5 million, sell a huge garage sale, essentially what it is. So every October, we have a serve day at Square Cow. Owners are there, managers are there, and we go. We put on shirts that says Square Cow Serving, and we go for 3 days, and we give them strong backs, and we give them big trucks. Why? That's what God gave us. Give away whatever He's given you. If He's given you the ability to come and do a talk like this, give it away. Figure out a way how to live open-handed. Are you a photographer? Figure out how to do that for your church. Now, you need to get paid. If you're a photographer, you need to get paid for your services. Don't do things for free. But find a way to give something away. Because God's going to give you something, and His intention isn't for you to hoard it and stop at success. His intention is for you to move to the third stage of life, which is significance, and give it away. Okay? Give away what God's given you. Next, this one has been a really, really freeing thought the last few years for me in this stage of significance. There's a guy named Darren Whitehead who is a pastor, and he was talking about running a marathon. And he was talking about how he had been training, he had done all the work, and he was at the marathon, and he was like on mile 18, and he was feeling really good. And he's just doing it. He's looking at his pace. I'm on pace, and somebody runs past him who's 20 pounds heavier than him. He's like, man, I thought I was doing good. He just keeps on running, and then another person passes him that's 20 years older than him. And this is what he felt like God was telling him, man, this is so powerful. He felt like God was saying, run your own race. I didn't call you to run your race. And this is how I deal with that. I have a friend, a very close friend, who sold 60% of his company a couple of years ago for millions and millions of dollars. And I got caught in this loop where I'm like, that sounds kind of nice, you know? And God spoke to me and said, that's not what I've called you to. Run your race. Your race isn't that race. So whatever lane I put you in, that's the lane I've put you in. Run your race. Quit looking to your left. Quit looking to your right. Run the race I've put you in. Guys, you want significance? You be okay with where you are despite what's going on to your left and to your right. You're like, no, this is where God's put me. this is where God's put me. I'm okay with it. I'll tell you this, I don't think I'm a $30 million business guy. I've run these businesses, or I've helped run these businesses, or anywhere from $5 to $20 million. Honestly, I feel like that's kind of my lane. And I have friends that run these businesses that are 2-3 times bigger than that, or even more. And I've kind of got to this place, I'm like, man, high five. Dude, I am so impressed with you. You know what my lane is? Square cow movers. I'm a dolly pusher. And that's okay. This is who I am, and I'm okay with it because I feel like God's put a peace inside of me about it. Next. Profit and integrity are not mutually exclusive. There was one year, I think it was 2013, where we ended up on Austin's Fast 50, one of the fastest 50 growing companies in Austin. Number 13 to be exact. You go to the gala, you get a plaque, you take a picture. It was awesome. That same year, we won the Better Business Bureau Torch Award for marketplace ethics. I want to tell you guys something most people won't tell you. You can make money and you can do the right thing at the same time. You can be incredibly profitable and be a person of integrity at the same time. You can be a person of extreme wealth and a person of extreme honesty at the same time. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. They are a liar. I'm not going to spend any more time on that one. Next. You got to be able to find the dead spots. I have an irrigation system at my house. The unsung hero of landscaping, the offensive line, which what I mean by that is you never notice it's there unless something goes wrong, right? That's what we know about the offensive line, right? Quarterback gets sacked. You're like, where's the O-line at? That's the irrigation system, right? You have a dead spot in your yard. You're like, well, that's not the way it's supposed to be. You go on a Saturday, you flip on your irrigation system that usually comes on at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then the irrigation head pops up and you're watering the sidewalk, right? And so here's what you got to do. You got to bend down, you got to get a tool, and you move the head, and okay. Here's the illustration. We're terrible at this as humans. We're terrible at a couple things. First of all, we're terrible at knowing our dead spots. Hey, you don't want me running the accounting at your business. I can tell you this. You know what? If we're $10,000 off, I do not care. I don't. But I'm smart enough to know that's my dead spot. And I'm smart enough to adjust to it, right? I know I'm not good at it. You need somebody who cares. That cares if it's $10,000. You need somebody who cares. That's a dead spot for me. And so you have to be willing to say, okay, where am I? Man, I tell you, I'm not good at that. And then the second part, so first is knowing, being aware. I know where my dead spot is. That's first. Number 2 is I can bend down with a tool and I can adjust to it. And sometimes, and this was especially early on for me, I'm kind of a jerk. And I'm really impatient. And so over the last few years, I feel like God's helped me adjust on some of that and lead from a different angle and say, man, my brother-in-law, who's the nicest person I've ever met, it's so frustrating. You know how frustrating it is to work with that? Let me tell you, a couple years in, I'm like, I'm always the jerk. I'm tired of this. I'm not being the jerk anymore. You're the jerk from now on. He's like, no problem. I'm like, you're failing already. Can you adjust to your weaknesses? Can you adjust to your weaknesses? Okay, next. Man, I was out with my boy Trayvon a couple weeks ago, who's in my small group. This guy is so smart. He is so incredibly smart. He asked me to mentor him recently. I was like, oh, for real? I thought you were mentoring me. He's like 25. And he told me this a couple weeks ago. He said, you know what we do? We act like Jesus is an app when he needs to be our iOS. I was like, so good, right? He said, we want to open him up when we need him. And we want to close it back down. But Jesus should be your iOS, not your app. You want to be a person of significance? God's word needs to be the iOS, guys. I can tell you right now, you can get to success. You can get to success. It's going to be hard to get to significance without that last part. Okay, we got a quick video. I know I'm almost out of time.
So you're good.
Okay, here we go. We're going to watch this video. This is a final thought I have I want to share with you guys. This is a guy named Forrest Whitaker, who's an actor who was at a commencement And then the NFL stole it and put some pictures. So, but listen to Forrest Whitaker's words, because I want you guys to reflect on this for a second.
How many people in this room have ever had one of those days when everything just starts out wrong? Wrong side of the bed, wrong side of the pillow, whatever. Put your hands up, raise your hands. That's what I thought. Every one of you. Now when the world pulls that game with me, I'm going to tell you what I did. I saved it. That's right. Without a fight, without people doubting you, questioning you, trying to keep you down. Too many of you don't realize that. But what's the point of succeeding if succeeding is easy? I never got that. Never understood people who wish they were born rich. Never understood athletes who just wanted to join the best teams. Build your own business. Start your own dynasty. A good start to a day is easy. I want no part of these things. I want the struggle. Here we go. I want the fight. I want the pain. And then I want the best feeling of all. The feeling that the world did everything it could to beat me. All the way to the end zone. But I won.
Okay, here's the thought, guys. I know anybody can put something to that kind of imagery and get motivated. I want you guys to think about this whole idea of savor it.
Here's an easy thing
The
you can
last-
do to add to your routine so that you
The last few years, I've come to this realization of I felt like God has been speaking to me about this place of discomfort and getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And nothing, as I look back, if I could, and so the way I thought about this is if like I could tell myself something when I was your age, I would say this. Every time you're uncomfortable over the next 20 years of your life, especially as it relates to your work, find a way to tell yourself, I'm embracing it. I'm embracing it. Because there's going to be times, our business almost unraveled in 2018. It was terrible. We leaned in. We shut down, our corporate office in Lakeway. We moved back to our warehouse on 183. We started answering the phone again. We started hiring movers again. We started sweeping the corners again. We embraced this incredibly difficult discomfort that we had, that this is hard. And the results were the most profitable years we've ever had since. The most healthy business, the least amount of turnover since that moment of embracing incredible discomfort. This talk is uncomfortable. Embrace it. Somebody's going to ask you to join something. And I don't want you to get outside of God's will. I'm going to let you discern that. But if discomfort is what you feel, I want you not to push away from it. And I have an issue. I have a concern for a generation that talks a lot about anxiety. Sometimes that's not anxiety. Sometimes that's the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit's going to be nudging you towards things that are very uncomfortable. And that is God's path for you. And your willingness and your ability to shut out the culture and shut out the world and say, I'm embracing the discomfort, will literally change your life. Whatever you want.
fire away.
Hi.
Hi. There was a point where you said, where you're talking about your business, and you said that you were like going for it with the head of business, but not with a heart of service. So was there a time where you did approach it with a heart of service, but it wasn't working out? And how do you discern whether that's from God or whether you should keep going or just
Yeah.
scrap it?
So, great question. So, we started the business with a heart of service, okay? That was our whole goal because we feel like the moving industry service is not valued. And so we can fill that gap, right? Then we got to a size where we're like, okay, a heart for service is great, but we can't afford to not have a head for business. Here's the way I would describe it. Businesses actually got to keep both of those plates spinning at the same time. You cannot afford to let either one of those go ever. The fact is we had started trying to grow, and we had kind of just let this one go for the sake of growth. And we stopped focusing on service, and we just started focusing on growth. More of a head for business, but not a smart head for service or business. And so the idea is, how do you keep both of those plates spinning at the same time and never letting either one of them? That's one of those tensions to manage, not a problem to solve.
Yeah, so you've got a lot on your plate right now.
Yeah.
How do you balance all of that and give your full effort to all of them individually?
Yeah. So I am constantly asking myself that question, and I'm constantly in tension about it. So I will say this. I feel uniquely called to all those things. I would not actually recommend it for most people. And I'm still new to it in the last 4 or 5 years, where I'm not even sure if I'm doing it well. I pray that I am. I feel like I'm in my lane. But if you said, well, I just want to start a business and that's the business I want to, please do that, because this is hard. But to be honest with you, I pray probably more about that than almost anything. It's like, Lord, my schedule, I need help. And he has just made a way. But specifically, particularly personally feel called to 5 businesses and 4 boards. I do not recommend it. It's very weird, but that's what I feel like God has me right now. So that's hard. Thank you. Yeah.
My name is Imai, by the way.
What's
Thank
up?
you for being here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of ask you more. You said that you were a pastor, that you served like within the church,
Mhm.
or worked there. What was that transition like into the business world? Like, what made you know that you were following the right steps? Because you think of like working at a church, that might be where God wants you. But how
Yeah.
did you know that? I mean, I know you got fired, but what led you? What led you to business? What led you to
Yeah.
business, and what were some steps in that?
So I studied business in college, and so again, trying to being self-aware. I was not an academic. I had dyslexia. I struggled in school. I always differentiated myself in work. In work, I always did well. And so I think actually the ministry was a deviation from my gifts and talents, not the business. And so going back to business was more that feeling like, okay, God made me for this. I'm a for-profit guy, and I struggle with nonprofit. And so again, that sense of like, what is my lane? What has God called me to? What has He gifted and talented me to do? The business, moving back into business. So I'll give you an example. When I was in ministry, I was about 40 pounds heavier. I was very unhealthy. My marriage was not going great. There are signs, like when you're not in your lane, like, those are some of them, you know what I mean? And so getting back into business, like I started to have success, and even small success. Like I would be up against 6 other moving companies in the bid, and we would win it, and these kinds of things start feeling like, okay, this feels like what God's called me to do. So looking for those things that were important for me. Yeah.
So you said you studied business for school. And
Yeah.
Like that. We have 3 more years left, and so I think a lot of us are hungry to kind of like get started in a way. Like we're looking forward to that. But what are some things that you could say, like with hindsight, that we could do now to kind of better prepare for that? Things that we can look into now.
Yeah. So I struggle with that. What's your name?
Justice.
Justice.
Yes.
Okay. Part of me says side hustles are great. I say that. My son has like 9 side hustles, The problem is like a side hustle becomes a side hassle.
Mm-hmm.
And so your ability to, if you decided to go that route, create really, really good guardrails around it, and it not take you away from this, and not take you away from whatever other commitments you have, whether it be family or faith or whatever. You have to really draw clear boundaries and guardrails around it. If it's not, let's say it's a business that you want to go and like, I always had a knack for finding a business and then finding the leader within that business and then asking really good questions. I'm very Socratic. And so I would find the guy who I thought, this guy's got the most influence in the room. I'd saddle up next to him, and then I would find myself kind of learning from him and trying to be really intentional. I don't even know if it was intentional as much as I'm just curious. And so having a posture of curiosity, I think, is really helpful. But the whole side hustle thing, just be really careful about it. Yeah. What's up?
David Vasquez, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird question, but you said like when you were in school you had dyslexia and stuff, and it's kind of like a question for my brother. So my little brother, he kind of struggles with school, and sometimes he gets down on himself because other kids get things faster. So I guess with you struggling with that, what is something that I can do as his older brother to help kind of guide him and encourage him? Because he definitely has like good entrepreneurial skills. Like he's really smart, but sometimes he gets down on himself, and I try to encourage him. What can I do better that would have maybe helped you at the time that I can do to help him?
Probably read. I'm just kidding. No. Both Ashley and I were both in the kids who don't read so good class. Ashley's like, "Thank you. You can call me out for that." You know. I heard a stat the other day. I was listening to a podcast that like 60% of self-made millionaires have dyslexia or something. Like the ability for someone that struggles in the classroom to compensate for that, you naturally find a way to make things work. Your brother is probably exceptionally resourceful. Even if you don't see it yet, he's had to be. He's had to figure it out. And I would go I did a job interview in college to go work for the president, who's still a close mentor of mine. I had a 2.7 GPA. Everybody else had 4.0s. And they asked me the question. They go, "Why would we hire you? Your GPA is really low." I said, "I get it." I said, it's been my thing my whole life. And I said, I work for every one of those B's and C's. I said, but I'll tell you this, I will run circles around everybody that works here. No one will outwork me, and you will be happy you made this decision. The ability to instill confidence came from the fact that I had to learn those things. I had to become resourceful to compensate for what was, and Jack's, I don't know what his I don't need to get a paternity test, because he's like really smart, right? And so you see this in your kids, and you're like, you don't know how good you have it. Like for every kid that's really bright in a classroom, I'm telling you, there's another kid in there that's struggling as much as it's easy for that one. And so I bet your brother's really resourceful. Patty.
There's an article, it was either Forbes or Fortune, and it says, why are the majority of billionaires either dyslexic, ADHD, or both? And I'll get executive coaching, and they'll call me and they'll go, this CEO is real ADHD, and I'm like, or dyslexic? I go, they all are.
Yeah, yeah.
So, because because it's harder in school, it doesn't mean that God didn't give him other gifts.
That's right.
Like your example of that.
Yeah.
And the majority of entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have a
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see that. Go ahead, Melissa.
My name's Calissa. You were saying that when there's money in the mundane and like you were finding your niche of furniture and you wake up early and work every day, but what happened in your life where it came to the point where you found satisfaction in doing those things, as opposed to kind of questioning, is this the business that's going to be lucrative for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Success helps with that. I mean, just being honest. Like, I don't even know if the money actually means as much as just the growth and like hiring new people and momentum. You know momentum, like when you feel it and you see it and you know it. Like it's hard to describe, but when you see it, you know what it is. When you're on that wave of momentum, like we were 3 or 4 trucks. I mean, we're still small, but you could feel something happening. And you're like, okay, this is exciting. Like we just ordered another truck, or we just hired another guy. We're still like a joke. You know what I'm saying? We're obscurity. Nobody knows we're even there. And we would show up and we're like, we got the Fisher job. Can you believe that? I mean, what are we doing? Those things started feeling like we have momentum, and that momentum starts feeling like success, and success is the thing that kind of keeps you in it. I would love to have some spiritual discernment answer for you, but I really believe that a lot went back to that feeling of momentum started giving us that feeling of satisfaction, and like we want to show back up. Something's happening, and we're still in this thing, and it was exciting.
A really, really great quote I appreciated was, "What you tolerate, you promote."
Yeah.
I think that's so true within work and faith. And so to that, how do you distinguish that with having faith in the workplace, with like your workers, where there's things that you won't tolerate,
Yeah.
and things that you do? So like, how do you incorporate faith into that with it?
Yeah. So one of the things we do is we don't move on Sundays. And I know that feels, you're like, well, Chick-fil-A, I mean, I can tell you, it's hard. You know, people move on Sundays a lot. Every competitor, they run on Sundays because it's a day when people have off. That's when they don't want to waste PTO, paid time off, to move. So the Sunday is one of the biggest days. And so I can tell you this: when we made that decision, it probably cost us $1,500 a month. That is a decision today that is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars per year that would be in our pocket or on the bottom line, if we decided to move on Sundays. Our conviction around that, around our faith, and when people call us and say, hey, we need to move on Sunday, we say, I'm so sorry, we reserve that for faith and family. If you call Square Cow today, that's what they're going to say. I'm so sorry, we reserve Sundays for faith and family. And so when you're willing to give up revenue and profit and money for your faith, it's big. It's a big, big thing. And that's when you know you're in the lane, when you're in business. That's the goal, is to make money. And you're putting that aside and saying, because of my faith, I'm willing to concede that revenue. You think, well, that's not a big deal. I can tell you, when your kids have a lean Christmas as a result, which we had a bunch of, it's a hard decision to make. It is not easy. I think we look at things like Chick-fil-A, we're like, they're not open on Sundays, bummer, or that's great. It's hard for them. That is a enormous decision they make. I think that's how I would probably craft that answer.
Yeah, I was gonna just ask, even along the lines of somebody who's not necessarily a great student but is entrepreneurial, how have you, or how did you reframe that? Because I know for me, I wasn't a great student, but I was always kind of in the same ballpark that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So like, how did you reframe education to be a value add on a daily basis?
So in terms of for myself or for my kids or what?
Either one. Just somebody who would be struggling
Yeah.
academically and they're like, well, I'm really good at work.
Right.
Why do I really need school
Right.
whenever I can go work and I'm good at that? How
Yeah.
do you-
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a great question, and I don't know that I felt like I reframed it as much as I set a goal to get a degree, and I'm not one to walk away from something like that. I'm going to complete this. I've got the rest of my life to make money. I've got a pretty small window of time to go and work on my education, even if it doesn't come naturally to me. Like, this is the season of life I'm in. This is my season, and so we need to go do this. Not everything, I can tell you, not everything that you're going to do in your life you're going to be good at, and you still got to do it. It's not like, you know what, I'm not really good at parenting. Like, good luck, Jax. Work that out, Like, there's going to be things that are like, okay, I'm in this season. I'm actually not that great at this, but this is my season, and I'm going to have to do it. I got to get up, and I got to get to work, and that was a season for me. You'll notice I did not go get a master's, PhD. I'm on boards full of PhDs and all these people, and I got to be okay with that. That's not. I don't feel like God called me to that, but I wasn't gonna not get a degree. That's just not who I am. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Kind of to like talk, I guess to like combine. First of all, sorry, my name's Acacia.
Hi.
And then I guess my question would be to kind of piggyback off of Jonathan's question with what you tolerate, you promote,
Mm-hmm.
but then also the sweat the small stuff. So in a scenario where you are kind of in that beginning stages and you're the one building the team, or you are the team, you're the one taking out the trash and stuff.
Mhm.
How do you balance like choosing your battles and
Yeah.
like, setting like those core values and stuff, and how do you make sure that like when when you're like kind of desperate for help that you're not compromising on those things?
It's a great question. I'm going to use an illustration to answer your question. Growing up, I talk about this whole term that my mom used, and maybe your mom used the same term, and it's called "but in this family." And so the whole term is around, hey, everybody's going to the arcade. How was that even a thing back then? Anyway, when I was young, everybody's going to the arcade Saturday night, spending the night at Johnny's house, and my mom would say something like, I'm so glad everybody's going. But in this family, we get up on Sunday mornings and we go to church. You're not going to be at Johnny's house. There are things that you're going to decide about your organization. I'll give an example. Clean dashboards. This is a big pet peeve of mine. When I pass a competitor's truck and they got water bottles and paperwork, and people don't notice a clean dashboard. They notice a dirty one. And I don't want them noticing the dashboard. I want to notice what's on the side of the truck, the name of the business. We have chosen that for us. Now, there are other things that other businesses do. We are like, well, it doesn't matter to us. So when a guy says, why do I have to tuck my shirt in? We say, and they're like, I've been moving furniture for 20 years at other companies. We say, but in this family, we tuck our shirts in. I don't have to keep a clean dashboard when I worked for FedEx. Oh, I get it. That's awesome. But in this family, this is what we do. There are things that you're going to decide about your family that aren't going to look like any other family. And that's what makes you distinct. If you blow through every intersection, so here's the deal. One of the things we blew through is social media. My kids have social media, and we're okay with that. Like that's one of the we're like we're gonna look like the rest of the people that way. We're like okay, but there are other things we're like we're not doing that. In this family, God's called us to be distinct in this area. It's the same thing for your organization. You're gonna have this thing in your gut that's gonna say, God's called me to not tolerate that. And there's a million other things that you're going to look like every other business on the block. But these few things in this family, we're going to do them different. And we're going to embrace them. That's how I would answer that.
Great. That's a great way to wrap it up. Let's go. Let's get it out.